right, this is SFBarkast. I'm Jeff Cleary.
I'm Andrew Louder.
And Andrew, where are we today?
We are at Harmonic Brewing Company on 26th Street.
It is a
Dog Patch-ish.
I believe they call these things tap rooms.
Yeah,
because
it's a brewery with a attached tap room.
Yeah, if you want to sit around,
concealed tap room. I don't know. It's you know what it is.
Yeah, well,
I can stop explaining.
We've been to a few of these. We went to one right before we went over to Prohibition, but that was a little too crowded,
right.
So we came over here. It's a little.
Yeah,
this is not crowded enough.
Yeah, it's real feast or famine in the.
Where is this place?
I guess would you call this Dog Patch? It's like it's 26th
Dog Patch.
in like Minnesota. So it's we first went to Speakeasy, which is in Hunters Point, and that's it's a small little barrel house or brew pub or whatever, and this is a much bigger deal. But much fewer people. So it's kind of nice, actually.
Unlike the last place, the Prohibition place that we were at,
right.
This place you can see the vats where they make all their beers.
Yeah, the Prohibition almost like they tried to make it like a speakeasy, which is like their big beer. So it's like it almost looks like you're kind of in a secret room of the brewery or something. Whereas this is like a lot more. Hey, it's a warehouse. Like,
that whole theme is just so annoying. Where it's just like whether it's Bourbon and Branch,
right.
where it's like you have to have the code to get in.
Yeah.
And
like there was a doorman when we walked up to that place.
Oh,
it's like,
that's the worst.
That place holds like 10 people. What is that doorman there for?
It's smaller than Gestalt.
Yeah.
And there's a doorman there.
It's like if you got rid of the doorman, you could increase your capacity by like 20%.
It's like there's a doorman there, and he's checking IDs, which is totally fine. That's what they do at every bar.
Yeah, whatever.
But then he's got to stamp you in case what? Like we're in India Basin.
Yeah.
Like what are we gonna run across the street to the post office just to see if there's a good party going on over there?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we got.
I don't have to repay my cover of nothing.
Exactly. And then like when we were leaving, I know this is not a good way to start up a podcast where we're talking shit about a different bar we're at. But like when we were leaving, there's somebody in the parking lot who comes over and just kind of he's pretending to be friendly, like, hey, did you guys have a good time and stuff? But really, he's checking to see if you're sober enough to like not plow your car into
that was a little weird.
children.
Like, I mean, like not that not that I want to be free to like go kill as many school children as I want, but it's like don't put your bar in the middle of nowhere and then hire some narc to like patrol a parking lot. That's just bad form.
Although now thinking about it, like that's kind of a shitty thing for me to complain about. Or it's just like some dude's just like, hey,
trying to stop people from drunk driving like an asshole.
Yeah, he's like, hey dude, are you okay to drive? And I'm like, mind your own fucking business. You never ask me how much I've had to drink, all right? Fuck you.
Why don't you come over here and ask me how much if I'm okay to drive?
Hey, in true dog patch fashion, there's two dogs in this bar, so it's dog friendly.
It is.
Oh,
yeah.
Also what I wanted to say is like you can see the vats here where they make the beer.
Yeah.
And over at the Prohibition place, I guess like they don't want you to see how the sausage is made.
Well, like I said, it's much less of an industrial feel. This is like industrial design 101. Like it's all like sort of like brand new industrial. I mean, it's like I'm sure the bare bones of the building are old, but everything in it is brand spanking new.
Yeah, you know what? Like honestly, like I had never heard of Harmonic Brews before.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either.
And we have like a little sampler here, and I like what I taste. Although, like just like every other fucking brewery, and I know it's just a trend, but like they have to have a sour beer on. Like seriously, if anybody who's really into beers wants to write in and explain what the fuck with sour beers,
right.
Just go right ahead. And people compare it to the IPA like phenomenon that happened, but here's the difference: IPAs don't taste like shit.
Right, and IPAs, at least there was a reward of getting like housed at the end of it.
I'm gonna try the sour right now.
Go for the sour. It's sour hour here at Harmonic Brewing Company.
Fucking gross.
So that's how many stars do you give that out of 4?
God, I'll give it 4 stars out of 4,000.
Oh, okay, 4,000. Oh, that's okay. It's small.
Yeah. I've already thrown my hat into the political ring. I don't like sour beers, but the rest of these so far I like.
Yeah, I had a sip of the. It's called the Maraska ESB, which is an English-style bitter with a hint of sour cherry. And I enjoyed that. It was very nice.
You know, the worst place to have lived or to live 2 weeks ago, or maybe even now, is probably Boston, because I was like thinking.
You don't have to say anymore.
I was thinking about like you were saying the bitta.
The bettas, yeah.
But like that movie The Martian, which we'll get to later, was the #1 movie for like 2 weeks in a row, and just imagine people running around. Do you see The Martian yet? The Martian? Oh yeah, Matt Damon's in The Martian.
Who else coming to The Martian? 4 for The Martian.
Oh, you won't believe it. Matt Damon almost isn't gonna get off the plane, then he does.
So boring.
Yeah, so I've never heard of like this Harmonic Brewing, but like I like, when we were coming down here, like driving around, like I was like this, like if I didn't know you, I was like, this guy's gonna kill me, because this neighborhood, there's nothing here.
It is, yeah. It's very deceiving, like because
So
you assume that there's nothing of interest at all.
We did the Dog Patch Saloon a long time ago,
yeah.
And there's like a lot of shit on Third
there
Street.
There is now, yeah. I mean,
but like where we are, 26th in like Minnesota,
yeah,
it just looks like this industrial wasteland.
Right.
Which, my hat goes off to Harmonic for like taking that space and like turning it into something cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I think they've done a really good job. And, like I see like tours going through, but I don't know if that's a different business or what, because like that doesn't seem. There's like a glass sort of garage door between here and something else, but like all the brewery equipment is actually behind you and all the offices and stuff. So
it's weird.
Nice.
Like, we were down at the Prohibition, which is in like India Basin.
Yeah.
Like I never go down there, and I hardly ever come down here. Like I've lived in San Francisco for 20 plus years. And it's like when I come down here, I feel like I'm in a different place.
Yeah, it is. It's a very. It almost has a ship port kind of feel to it, where
well,
it's just like I mean, like obviously it's close to the water and everything, but like it has that just super industrial, like smells of fish kind of feel about it.
The thing that's most striking when I'm down here is the amount of space. Like this tap room is massive.
Right.
And like there's actually a little echo in here. And like every other bar in like, especially in the Mission, or it's like the attic or something, it's like the size of a closet, like the phone booth.
It's funny because like you've got Hunters Point here, and then there's an area of the Bronx in New York called Hunts Point that's sort of the same type of area, and but it's the same kind of thing where it's like you go into like Hunts Point in the Bronx, and it's like this massive like food trading warehouse that's there, and so there's this like all this space and all these people and like all of this like industrial space going on that you'd never know was there in the middle of essentially New York City.
It's like it's weird, like because when the what do you call it, the docks, they all basically lost their contracts to Oakland, so now the big port in the Bay Area is in Oakland.
Okay.
But like the port of San Francisco, which is like right down the street from here, that used to be like the major port, and
right.
When that kind of goes away, like what do you do with it?
Yeah, exactly. You just got a bunch of sort of docks and warehouses hanging around.
Exactly. It's like like you don't. I guess you could try, but like docks don't usually get transformed into something like a water park or something.
Brewery.
Or a brewery.
You can't transform them all into breweries, unfortunately.
We can try, though.
You know what? Like, I mean, you could. It seems like you could do a lot of innovative and interesting things with housing and stuff like that in an area like this, because you could just say like, here, like, we'll give 20 people a warehouse and you can live in it any way you like or something. But for some reason they don't do that.
I'm going to tease our next episode. We're going to have go over all our election.
Oh God!
It'll be our election special.
You're going to make me read about like politics?
Well, because like now
or local politics anyway.
I'm seeing all these ads on television for like and against different propositions in San Francisco,
right.
And I was just like, I don't know fuck all about any of this stuff.
You don't want to go into it like you usually do and just like pick the letters you like. It's just like Proposition E, he's a good letter. Like cool words start with E.
Everything depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Right. Like if I go in there and I'm in like a bad mood or something.
No to everything.
And it's just like, oh, should we extend firefighters like pensions? I'm like, fuck them.
That's right. You try to see if like there's any joke candidates you can vote for. It's like, the Go Fuck Yourself party, I'm on board.
It's like you're not allowed to campaign something within like 50 feet
right.
of a polling station.
Okay.
But it's like, those people who do that or used to do that,
right.
like they're just like, what would they do? They'd stand outside there and just like yell, vote no on F, or
right.
I want you to vote yes on no. But like that's that's no way to get people to do what you want. Like, what you need to do is you're like, hey, here's a lollipop, feel good.
Yeah, that'd work, right?
That's not going to work. It's not it's not working, Bill. Start the hand job brigade.
Wait, what's this about again? Am I registered?
Wasn't there a John Waters movie, Pecker, where Edward Furlong and what's her name from the Addams Family, the little girl?
Oh, Christina Ricci.
Christina Ricci. They had sex in a voting booth, which is just so John Waters.
Of course. Well, speaking of like local propositions and stuff, one of the big stories that's been floating around this week is the internet company Airbnb.
Oh, fuck those
famous
guys.
For turning every kitchen closet in San Francisco into a $3,000 a night apartment. They put these like ads up and on like bus shelters and like billboards and everything like that, and I think they thought they were being really clever and funny, but it really backfired right in their goddamn faces.
They're such Silicon Valley assholes. You know,
it's certainly coming across that way.
So explain what the billboard said.
So the whole campaign was just like these stark, sort of like just the Airbnb logo and then like a couple of words or whatever. And one of them was like dear public library system, we hope you use some of the $12 million in hotel taxes to keep the library open later. Love Airbnb. When I first saw these, I didn't even get what the fuck they were getting at. What was going on with them? But
is there a real problem with like the library not being open later?
Well, and that was just one of it was like, dear public works, like please use the $12 million in hotel taxes to make more bike lanes. Please put escalators on every like steep street. Like all of these like dumb like not real ideas. So when I first saw it, I didn't really even understand what they meant. And I guess several years ago, San Francisco enacted a law saying, okay, you guys, Airbnb will let you guys exist, but you have to pay
you have to pay hotel taxes.
Yeah, you have to pay hotel tax. And so after 3 years of fighting it and not paying it,
after 3 years of throwing a shit fit,
yeah, exactly.
They're continuing to throw a shit fit.
Right, and so now they've actually enacted it. This is I guess their way of tongue-in-cheek complaining about it.
Okay, so
essentially,
let me ask you: was it 12 million or billion?
It was 12 million, which isn't that much.
And that's not all. That's not all from Airbnb. That's from all the hotels, right? That the hotel taxes.
I think that might be what Airbnb's share was.
Really?
But that's not something that Airbnb paid. It's just something that they passed along to their customers. They're just like, okay, guess what? It now costs more to use Airbnb, because we're being taxed. So they absorbed zero of the cost, so they deserve none of the credit. And so predictably, everybody was pissed at these ads and was like, you guys are coming across as sounding like complete jackholes.
Here's the thing about Airbnb. They are valued at such a huge amount.
$20 billion.
Every time they fucking need money, they just can go get another round of funding because people are always willing to give them money.
Yeah.
Isn't there at least one public relations person on payroll to say, hey,
I think so.
This is a dumb fucking idea. It makes us all look like shit, and it's gonna the blowback we're gonna get from this is just gonna totally. It could possibly sink. It's not gonna sink them.
Yeah,
but
totally.
It's
it won't,
such
but
bad PR.
Yeah, they
come across as
telling me they spent something close to $8 million trying to defeat that Proposition F, recently.
Which we'll get into next week.
Which we will get into next week. But think about what this does to that. People that didn't even give a shit about it before, oh yeah, Airbnb, fuck those guys. I'm gonna vote to tax them more. Why not?
Isn't this such an example of people that complain about millennials? And being so self-absorbed and having so much, basically they're so full of themselves and they're just totally oblivious.
Oh yeah.
To that, they think that what they're doing is they're fighting back. They're speaking truth to power, and everybody's you're just like a brat.
Yeah.
All you do is bitch and complain, and you're these multimillionaires.
Right.
And they're basically saying, hey, we paid our taxes, so we were allowed to fucking complain about all this shit. It's dude, a lot of people pay their taxes and they don't throw shit fits.
Right. Well, and the crazy thing about and this, obviously there's other examples and Uber's sort of like pulled shit like this before. Where
Uber,
they're just,
like,
you know,
I haven't done any like research into this, but everybody that told me I've talked to says the people who run Uber are like the scumbags of the scumbags.
which, I mean, you know, that could be true, that could be not true, but like, you know, it's really not that hard to run a business and like not be like aggressively shitheads about it. You know, it's like
Right.
it's like, you know, like you don't even have to like I said, like, you know, like Airbnb isn't like getting charged for any of this. They're just passing it along to their customers, and that's another thing that sort of like blows me away about all this, and companies that act this way, where like Airbnb they're a platform. They're just like, that's all they are. Like all they invented was like the website that like one guy can go to and like give his apartment to another guy in exchange for money. Like they didn't invent the fucking wheel. Like somebody else can do what you do. So so basically all you have to do once you get an idea like that off the ground is, you know, try to like not fuck it up by being an asshole and not getting in your own way.
That is the most stunning thing to me, and you kind of touched upon it. It seems like it's such a chore for some of these people to not act like dicks.
Right.
It's like, were you born yesterday? Is it like, haven't you learned at some point that like people will be on your side if you don't act like dicks all the time?
Yeah, like no one's you know, more, you know, no one wants to use your website more if they're like, man, that guy's a real fucking piece of shit prick.
Yeah, you're supposed to be this so smart. It's like, can't you figure out that it will benefit you if people like you?
Right. Yeah. It's like,
why do I have to fucking like bring that up? And you know, like I'm somebody who has a guest room in my apartment, and people have told me seeing a guest room in San Francisco is like seeing a straight unicorn.
Right.
But so like I've never used Airbnb, but like at some point down the road I may want to like look into that.
Sure, yeah.
But actually there's a lot of like I would have to do a lot of like research because I don't like own the place, because I'm just a renter.
Yeah.
There's like this sort of fear campaign that like if you use Airbnb, your landlord will like find out and then evict you.
Right.
Which would be the worst thing possible. I think I'd rather like Andrew, if I got evicted from my apartment, I'm a ghost.
Right.
Like you'd be like, wasn't there some guy named Jeff who used to co-host this show with me?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, now he lives in Topeka.
Right. Like.
So I like the whole idea of Airbnb. Just like, you know, behave yourselves, guys.
Yeah, it's just like I said, like for a lot of these businesses that don't, you know, that haven't invented something that's like so crazy that like, you know, there's just no way you can't give them money. Like that's all you have to do. Like all you have to do is just like, you know, stick your nose to the grindstone, keep going, and like not pull your dick out and wave it in people's face. And you'll be fine.
Where does that false sense of entitlement come from?
Like I don't know. Like I think that like so it used to be like.
Is it like an Ayn Rand thing? It's like, I created the business, therefore I'm better than everyone.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think that there is a lot of that, like sort of like we're the creators, we're the fucking Henry Fords of our generation, so everybody get the fuck out of our way. It's like, whatever.
Oh, God.
It's like, yeah, you are the Henry Fords of your generation. You're stupid Nazis.
All right, you want to take a break?
Sure, why not?
Are we through bitching?
Yeah.
By the way, you know, I feel like I'm in even though the listeners can't tell, I'm in a better mood than last week because.
And that's despite the fact that you're sitting next to your busted in half bike lock.
I brought my my U-lock.
You brought it to show me that, yeah. I mean, it looks like they used a acetylene torch or something on your bike lock. It's a clean cut through like an inch of steel.
I'm looking at the bike, the U-lock, and it's solid steel.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about the size of the bolt cutters they had to have used to get the torque to cut through it.
Yeah.
And I think that must be like a two-man job.
Right.
Two big men.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? It's just insane. So I'm not over having my bike stolen.
Right.
But I'm at least not completely bitter and want to like just start like walk into a room, go all fists and elbows on people.
So feel free to approach Jeff.
Exactly. Last week, don't. No. This week, sure.
And we apologize to the people who did.
All right, this is SFBarkast, and we'll be back from Harmonic Brewery. All right, and we are back at Harmonic.
Harmonic.
In the dog patch.
Harmonic convergence. Isn't that some sort of like crazy like new age shit?
Now, we didn't plan this out, But I have a story about the harmonic convergence.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
The
I don't want to step on your story.
The harmonic convergence was when supposedly all the planets in our solar system aligned in this like very rare position where they're all linear right there. And to celebrate said phenomenon, John Anderson of Yes wrote a song called like Song for Harmonic Convergence. And then I saw him on like that big Generator tour. And John Anderson, you have to understand, he's like 5 foot nothing.
Yeah,
you know,
if that. You know.
He looks like an elf.
Yeah.
And then Chris Squire, the bassist, he's like 6'3", and Chris Squire dresses like an elf,
right? Like
the world's largest elf. And so when I had like third row tickets. Oh man, I'm really burying myself here, aren't I?
The show is over.
We'll cut this all out. So I'm
gonna be like, I went to see Pearl Jam on the Big Generator tour. I mean the Alive tour.
So before they did the Song for Harmonic Convergence, John Anderson comes out and he says, "This next song is about the power of the sun." And that's where I thought, maybe Yes isn't as good as I thought they were.
You like looked around, you're like, everybody at this concert is over 60 years old.
All right, enough of that. Like I've nerded out too much. Let's jock out a little bit. Do you want to do the sports report?
Sure.
All right. So the baseball World Series is set. Did you watch any of the games, Andrew?
It is. Yeah, I watched some of the stuff leading up to it. I was, I work with a pretty diehard Cubs fan, and we discussed previously that the Cubs were a likable team going into this, just because they'd never won before, or not. I should say not before, but not for over 100 years. And so that would have been a fun story. And the Mets came along and fucking trounced them in 4 straight. So
no joke.
Enough of that.
Yeah, I believe I didn't really have any horse in like those last 4 teams, whether the Royals, the Blue Jays, the Mets, or the Cubs. But I was kind of pulling for the Cubs just to see them do it.
Blue Jays series would have been, I think, more fun than because now we have like Royals, Royals Mets.
The 2 teams I really, it's not that I dislike them, but it's like I wasn't really pulling for. They're in the World Series, and it looks like the Mets are going to win because They feel like a team of destiny.
Yeah.
Like that second baseman, Daniel Murphy, who's like the Kim Davis of baseball because he like hates gay people. It was just like this mediocre second baseman, and in like as of today, he's hit 6 home runs in 6 games. Dude, if I was Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball. And I was like on that witch hunt, the old witch hunt to try to find people using steroids. Yeah. I'd point right at Daniel Murphy and just be like, see that guy right there? Fucking test him. Test his hair, test his pee, test his fucking fecal matter, test everything.
That's right. I want you to cut off one of his fingers. I'm going to smoke it. And if I get high, he's out of the league.
You understand? Last month, he was Daniel Murphy. This month, he's Babe Ruth.
Right.
Like, what the fuck, guys?
It's like he even changed his name to Reggie Jackson. I can't believe it.
You know, we're like, although I am pulling for the Mets, like, for 2 reasons. I have like 2 very good friends who are Mets fans, and the Mets haven't won it since '86.
That's where I would think that you would have a bit of a sore spot with the Mets would be that year exactly.
Let me tell you something, Andrew. Winning 3 World Series since then, it like takes all the sting out of like really? Bill Buckner.
It's better than Febreze. It just cleans up the shit smell like nothing else.
It is the neutralizer for all of that like negativity. So I have like 2 friends who it would mean a lot to them if the Mets won, and I think the Mets are going to win. And for the second reason I'm rooting for the Mets, fuck Royal fans. And this is a new revelation to me, but like I was in the Kilowatt recently, and there were these Royal fans in there, and they were just such loudmouth assholes. And like it was on a Sunday.
That's weird because I so rarely run into I've had so few encounters with bona fide Royals fans that I wouldn't even have an opinion on them. But yeah,
in many ways, San Francisco is the bizarro world because I feel like all the Patriot fans I know, all the Red Sox fans I know, all the Yankee and Met fans I know, they're all pretty well behaved. And then who are the jackasses making all the noise in the middle of the kill while everybody's trying to watch the fucking football game? Royal fans. Yeah, the Midwest. People pride themselves on being nice and courteous. It's like Royals and goddamn Cardinal fans are just like fucking obnoxious.
But you know what? Enough about that shit, because guess what starts like next week?
Yes,
Basketball
finally.
season.
Basketball season.
Hurrah.
My favorite sport. What are your favorite sports in order?
Oh, I would say basketball's at the top. I don't know, maybe international soccer too, and then
Gross.
maybe exactly communist. Let's say football third, maybe hockey fourth, baseball fifth, something like that.
I go basketball, football, baseball. Well, here's the thing. People say about baseball, good baseball, like we've had in like the Blue Jay series, good baseball is so good. It's like when you see a good baseball game, and it's just like so satisfying. But even a mediocre baseball game sucks.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It really is like one of the dullest things you can watch.
I mean, and if it's a shitty baseball game, then it's a fucking waste of time.
Right.
So, and lucky for baseball, they have 162 games a year, so there's plenty of like shitty and mediocre games.
Well, it's like even if I were to take like two of the dullest NBA teams in the league, let's say like I don't know, the
Toronto Raptors,
Brooklyn Nets, and the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Brooklyn as it constantly or currently constituted, Brooklyn Nets. Like I would watch that game 100 times out of 100 before I would ever watch, the Indians play the Royals or something. The Royals are going to the World Series.
Bad basketball game is pretty bad.
It can be, but it's still.
I think it's pretty exciting.
I find it a more. It's a more exciting sport to watch. Like even nobody's play. Like I'll watch. I can watch a college basketball game, and even if it's not super high ranked, I can still enjoy it. But like. If you take the same, if you make me watch like a college soccer game, I'll fucking shoot myself in the face. I hate every second of it.
Well, a lot of people do make the distinction between pro basketball and college basketball, and pro football and college football. They say it's like totally different, and there's actually some merit to those arguments because somebody like Tim Tebow can be like arguably one of the greatest college football players ever. And in the pros, he's a fucking dumpster fire.
Right.
He can't get on a team. He's just a goddamn disaster.
All right, so we've established that basketball is great.
Okay, so
now people want to know. Okay, so what teams?
What teams do you think are going to be good? What are teams that I think are going to be good? You know what? I'm going to be a homer and go with the Warriors again. Like I was looking at their roster, and they didn't really. They lost like. Was it True Holiday?
Big deal.
And not really. The great thing about like the offseason for the Warriors is there were a lot of people like complaining that the Warriors were super lucky to win that championship because they didn't have any injuries, and then there were a bunch of injuries on the teams that they played. The Cavaliers lost Love and what's his name? Their point guard.
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving. Yeah. And then the great thing,
which would totally be a valid argument to make if the Warriors limped into the playoffs in with the 7th seed or something like that. They fucking destroyed all season. They laid waste to everyone they played.
Their point differential was over 10 points a game.
It was insane. It was the kind of thing where people are like, well, this must just be some sort of regular season aberration or something like that. And then they win the championship, and they're like, oh well, it must have been because everyone else was injured. It's like, well, you can't keep making excuses over and over again.
It's such sour grapes. It's I know. What's his name? Charles Barkley he guaranteed the Warriors wouldn't win the championship last year because they're a running team. They don't have any big beef down low, or they're not they're too much of a finesse team to win it all.
Right.
And it's and he's probably
a bunch of 7-foot doughboys that can doing a 10-second 40-yard dash.
He's probably one of those people who was just the Warriors got lucky because all the other teams got hurt. Well, it's you know what? And Steph Curry had this statement where he's like, hey, I'm not going to apologize. Or maybe he was like joking. And he was like, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing for other teams getting hurt. I'm apologizing for having to play the teams that were on our schedule.
Right.
It's like, what are the fucking Warriors supposed to do?
Right.
So anyway, so if you're one of those people who thinks the Warriors like got a cheap championship, go fuck yourself.
I feel like the Warriors too. They're not only are they incredibly talented, but they're also like for
the young.
Well, they're young and like they're relaxed. Like the whole preseason was like a joke to them. And like and like you see some of the highlights and like
they're dicking around.
Oh, they're dicking around, but like but that's good. I think they're like a rare case where I feel like the more like loose they are, the better they are. Like it's only when they tighten up that like that it becomes any kind of problem. But like my favorite like YouTube video recently that I saw was just the other day, I think, and it was the one where like Curry takes like a 3-point shot and it's in the middle, it's in midair, and he like turns to like Iguodala and like high fives him like before it goes in. and like he's just having a fucking blast. Like he doesn't give a shit.
Dude, he plays better when he's loose, like when he's like basically being a kid on a playground.
Like so, expect to see a lot of like behind the back 3-pointers and stuff like that from.
Do you think
Steph Curry this
like
season.
Every year when a team wins a championship, there's a there's a fear that there's going to be a letdown.
Yeah.
Because like we just won the championship. Do you think there would be a letdown with the Warriors this year? I don't personally. I don't think so because like I said, they're so young.
Yeah. There's a few players that like I don't know. Maybe they'll like maybe not that I'm saying that they're immature or anything like that, but I can see a couple of the bench players like being like fuck it, I don't have to. I got a ring, but they're like top quality guys are all just pros. They're all just like they're all just like fucking machines. Like they don't I don't think they know any other way to play.
I'm just gonna sidestep to football just for a second. Like that same theory that when teams win a championship they have a letdown the next year because they've already won the championship. The entire Deflategate scandal like basically guaranteed that the Patriots won't have that. Because it provided all this motivation for them to go out and like kick the shit out of people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Goodell. Do you have a sleeper team in the NBA this year?
Sleeper team. That's a good. I mean, it's going to be crazy to watch. I'm not sure if I call them a sleeper team, but like just watching the like as you would say a dumpster fire like pour onto the court that will be the LA Clippers this year.
Well, the Clippers or the Kings?
The Clippers.
Okay.
Because like
why do you think that's going to be a dumpster fire?
Well, they picked up here's who they added to a team that like has like Chris Paul, who like everybody kind of admits is like kind of an asshole to play with and like against because
he's
like,
also,
but he's like very demanding. He's incredible,
also,
incredibly good.
He's also a nut puncher.
Yeah, he's a nut puncher from back in his Wake Forest days.
Like numerous times. Like if you don't believe me, go on YouTube and just like search for like Chris Paul nut like fucking.
Well, now everybody like knows how you spend your Saturdays.
Say, well, what else am I gonna do?
Well, let's try nut punch. Oh, that's good. But so they added, like Chris Paul's kind of a whack job. They added Lance Stevenson.
Oh yeah.
They added Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce.
And Josh Smith. Like so they've got like this whole fucking like team of like wing playing nut jobs essentially. That like So like I'm not saying that they're like a dark horse necessarily, but like they could be a lot better
I think
or
Pierce,
a lot worse.
Pierce fits in well with that team because he will be an extension of the coach, Doc Rivers. Rivers! Hey, Paul, get on the outside! So he'll be an extension of the coach, and he'll be a perfect two guard because Paul will play the one, Pierce will play the two, and then you have Blake Griffin.
Right.
And I don't know who their power forward. Oh no, DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, they got DeAndre.
DeAndre Jordan, which is that whole like story in the offseason.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah,
that was just like
I hope
whatever.
they make like a TV movie or something about that because like it does sound like that whole deal like took place in like back rooms of strip clubs and like and stuff like that. Where it's
if
just like
people don't know, basically the Dallas Mavericks were courting DeAndre Jordan to leave the Clippers to go to Dallas, and he
succeeded essentially.
He agreed in principle, but hadn't signed the contract. Then and he's from like Houston or Dallas or like something, and then like the other guys in the Clippers like flew out to find him. convinced him to go back and stay with the Clippers,
Right.
and then stayed with them until he signed the contract. I'm presumably not at gunpoint, but basically they said they wouldn't let him answer the phone. So they're like basically either going to strip clubs or playing poker, and like Mark Cuban's trying to get in touch with him, and like all these other guys are just like, yeah, don't answer the phone, you're not allowed. Like
Yeah.
he's a fucking little kid in a treehouse.
I guess my other dark horse would be like maybe, I mean, I guess like San Antonio adding like LaMarcus Aldridge and
yeah.
So it's like Aldridge and
great.
Kawhi Leonard and like I mean like that whole like yeah.
It's so weird that San Antonio landed LaMarcus Aldridge because they don't usually play the free agent market.
Yeah,
And
but it's like that was just
I
the
think
perfect one to get.
I think it was genius on their part.
Yeah.
Like if you are going to open your pocketbook for like one player
Right.
who's from Texas,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you
Like,
gotta
yeah.
like they landed that. Like that was a beautiful play by them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think my dark horse in the East is Milwaukee,
Okay.
mostly because Jabari Parker
Yeah.
basically sat out all of last year. He was the number 2 pick in the draft,
Right.
and they landed Greg Monroe. Now I'm not so sure how good Greg
Michael
Monroe
Carter
is.
Williams as well.
Michael Carter Williams, and and I would love to say that the Celtics would make the playoffs again, but man, looking at that roster,
I don't know though. Like, I mean,
who do they have on there? Like Isaiah Thomas?
they got Isaiah Thomas and Marcus Smart, like who'll be a year better, and like I think they got a solid. I mean, what about Kelly Olynyk? Like
How-
Kelly Olynyk's probably like 12th best player on a decent team, but yeah, I mean, I think
Kelly Olynyk is so pissed at who's Maple Jordan again? Plays for Minnesota.
Wiggins.
Wiggins.
Yeah.
He's so mad at Wiggins because before Andrew Wiggins came into the league, Kelly Olynyk was arguably the best Canadian in the NBA. And then Andrew Wiggins shows up and he's just like, they're like, oh yeah, forget about that white
I
boy.
know. Actually, yeah. Now that
Steve Nash is out.
Nash is out of the league, yeah, like that is up for grabs.
All right, so what about do you want to do your predictions for like the finals?
Ooh, I suppose. Let's see.
Do you have any?
Well, let's see. Like, just scrolling through some of the more interesting stories. I think like another's not a dark horse because I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but like I think Charlotte could be an interesting team to watch just because of like Frank Kaminsky.
I love Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank, and they got like Al Jefferson, Jeremy Lin. They signed. Miami should be interesting with like Dragic for a whole season and like see if like Hassan Whiteside's like a head case or not.
Oh yeah, that guy is a head case.
You can, the Washington Wizards, you can watch John Wall or watch Nene.
So what are your predictions? Who's going to come out of the East for you?
I will say this. My one topic first, and that's my favorite name in all of basketball. Got traded to the Toronto Raptors this offseason, and that is Bismack Biyombo.
Bismack, he's no Fennis Dembo.
Bismack. Put the Bismack down.
That's my Bismack hand.
My Bismack hand is strong. But as far as like predictions of, I mean,
it's hard not to pick the Cavaliers to come out of the East,
yeah, like
especially if they stay healthy. Although, what are the chances that those like Kyrie Irving, whether it's in college or in the pros, he gets hurt all the time.
That's true.
He's like Mr. Glass.
But like, I mean, who's going to take the East if Cleveland does it?
Okay,
Chicago?
that's a good question. No, I'm not going with Chicago because once again,
Freddie Ahoy Hoiberg at coach.
Ahoy Hoiberg. I actually don't know. Like,
I know there's like no, I mean, like there's so many
There's
like
no other
average
front
teams
runner.
in the East, and like one good one, and then the rest stink.
remember, like for like 60% of the season last year, the Raptors were like, that team's great, and
Right.
then it's like then they started like to shit the bed at the end.
Well, and like people are saying that like the Raptors might actually be better this year because like Lowry lost a bunch of weight and like
Fat boy.
Kyle Lowry looked around and said, is what's his name? God damn it! I'm blanking on the Bagley for
John Bagley.
John Bagley. Is John Bagley still in the league? He's not. Why? No, I gotta lose some weight.
Yeah.
You know what? Nobody talks about Indiana getting Paul George back. And you would think that like that would just sort of immediately put them back in the conversation, but like they lost so many other pieces.
I can't do that. I can't, only because even when I think of like Paul George's injury, it was so devastating.
It was, yeah. But like, if he's even like 90%, he was like one of the top 5 players in the league. Like when he went out.
Yeah, but like, you know, did you like? Also, don't go on YouTube and search for Paul George injury. It's possibly the most gruesome leg injury I've ever seen.
I would say
and that includes Theismann.
Yeah, there was like a soccer goalie injury that I saw on YouTube that like was slightly worse than that, and it was only because like the guy's leg was completely planted, and somebody else came in at a direct like 45-degree angle, like full cleats down, like right on it, and so it just like exploded and snapped in half.
Gross.
Just like the
worst thing about like the Paul George injury is that like it just snapped. Like the 2 bones like from his knee down just snapped like that. Like he was like
I don't know if that's better or worse. Like because you would think that
drink your milk, man. Like get some calcium pills or something.
But it's like maybe that made for better healing, that it was just one clean break instead of like at least it wasn't like 30 breaks in 30 different places or something.
So I don't know. I think I'll take Charlotte to come out of the East if it's not the Cavs.
Okay. Charlotte, really?
I don't know. But I'm taking the Warriors to come out of the West.
Yeah, I think like
the West is really the big thing where it's like whoever comes out of the West is going to win. So like whoever comes out of the East is like a fucking afterthought.
Like for some reason it's so weird. Like you look at Houston Rockets on paper. Like they, I should say, like
those Texas teams never, like they always look great and they never do.
That's the thing, though, is like, but it's like Houston always sort of looks much worse than they turn out to be. Like I mean, like they made it to the conference finals last year, and it's like I can't besides like Harden, like I don't trust fucking Dwight Howard or Ty Lawson or any of those guys.
If OKC stays healthy, with Durant and Westbrook, I can see them challenging the Warriors.
Yeah, I can see that like a little bit, but like. Well, we didn't talk about New Orleans and their horrifying King Baby mascot either, or Anthony Davis, who's amazing.
Oh yeah, Anthony Davis is great.
Yeah, but like I think it was Jeff Van Gundy I was listening to, or somebody was talking about how people are predicting big things from like the New Orleans Pelicans, but he's still like it's just Anthony Davis there, like he's amazing, but he's still carrying the entire team.
It's amazing. He's the best two-way player in the league in that like. He can score you 40 points, and then he plays defense and gets blocks and gets rebounds. Yeah. So he plays both sides of the court. Like if you're James Harden, like you go to the free throw line all the time, and then you score a bunch of points, and then you just like do that Olay thing and let on defense let people go around you.
Right. It's like Anthony Davis is like if you took like Dwight Howard and like taught him how to shoot, and then put like badminton rackets on the ends of each hand. Because like Anthony Davis's wingspan is like 10 feet or something. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
All right, like let's wrap up this section with. I'll give you like our, not with a "Where Are They Now" segment.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I'll give you the name of a person who's changed teams, and you tell me what team that they play for now.
Okay, I won't even cheat. I'm gonna look at this beer barrel.
Nicholas Batum. The Legion of Batum.
The Legion of Batum. Nick Batum, he played for Portland, right? Mm-hmm. And did he go to Charlotte?
He went to Charlotte.
Nice.
Correct.
Good for me.
1 for 1. David Lee.
Wait. I was going to say David Lee went to the Knicks, but I don't think that's true.
He used to play for the Knicks.
He did used to play for the Knicks, but now he is going to be the only option on Brooklyn.
I predict that his jersey sales will skyrocket in Boston.
That's right.
Deron Williams. Remember Deron Williams? He was like he was an Olympian. He was arguably one of the best like point guards in the league. And suddenly he decided it's time to suck.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm not gonna care. Deron Williams, was he traded to the Knicks?
Nope.
No. Where'd he go?
He's now in Dallas.
Oh, Jesus.
Running the point in Dallas. Monta Ellis.
Oh, Monta Ellis is, I read that one somewhere. He is, like option 2 at. Is he in Milwaukee?
Indiana.
Indiana, that's right.
You came out strong, and now you're
I know, yeah.
shit in the bed. Roy Hibbert.
Hibbert's with the Lakers now.
With the Lakers.
Yeah, I think he came out recently joking, or I assume he was joking, because he said that his goal is to be the Black Bogut.
Black Bogut.
Or Blogut.
Blogut. Amari Stoudemire.
Oh, God.
First off,
not China.
First off, I always want to let you know that Amari Stoudemire is still in the league.
Right. So, what's the team that Iverson plays for? Like in Shanghai or something?
The Carp.
Did Stoudemire go to Dallas as well?
He went to Miami.
Ah, shit.
And these two players went to the same team. Tayshaun Prince and Andre Miller.
Oh, Andre Miller.
One of the oldest guys in the league.
Did he go to Denver? No, he was in Denver. Did he go to Orlando or something?
They went to Minnesota to play with Maple Jordan. And finally, Tough Juice, C-Butt himself, Caron Butler.
Caron Butler. Tough Juice. Let's say San Antonio.
He will be playing alongside DeMarcus Cousins and Rajon Rondo in Sacramento.
Good Christ!
That's going to be a fun team.
Disgusting team that is.
How many fights do you think they'll get into?
I was actually that's another great set of YouTube videos that I highly recommend. As long as you're searching for Chris Paul nut punches
and Paul George's leg snapping.
But there was one that was just DeMarcus Cousins basically giving up on defensive plays, where somebody would do a head fake and he would just stand there
who cares?
So what?
All right, well, so that's our NBA preview. I hope you liked it.
Yeah, we basically just predicted a repeat of last year, right?
Yeah, I know it sucks, but that's
what's going to happen. Damn it!
I think San Antonio or OKC could challenge the Warriors.
Yeah.
But I'm such a Warrior homer that I got to go with the Warriors.
Yeah, until until and unless there's some sort of injury that prevents the Warriors from killing everybody by 30 points, then
I feel like they're so. I mean, Curry would be the big one. If Curry went down, that would be really disastrous.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not like OKC. If Kevin Durant goes down, that team's really a fucking shell of what it was.
Well, it's even last year, it's David Lee goes down and nothing. No one cared.
Everybody does their job.
They're okay,
everybody steps up.
Yeah. So now we can trade him. Great.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be back with the movie report. Woo. We did our sports report, and we're going to come back with a movie report.
Hurrah.
All right. This is SFBarkast. We are at Harmonic.
I'm taking my own and living my life like it's golden.
All right, and we are back. And that was an exhausting NBA preview we had.
I know. Could have gone on for hours and just named people on the rosters.
And what about Tyler Hansbrough? Do you like him?
Too white.
You know what? Two things I want to say about the bar before we get into the movie. Well, before we get into other stuff. Mm-hmm. The bathroom here, the men's room, is a great men's room if you need to go number 2.
Because it's very well ventilated and
yes, and it's also
large, clean.
It's locked.
Okay, yeah.
If you need to take a dump or do some blow,
right?
This is a perfect bathroom. And I feel like our listeners need to know these things.
Of course. I mean, well, there's lots of
those two things go hand in hand, by the way.
There's lots of flat surfaces for doing cocaine on.
And also, I want to commend the bartender for playing just this parade of Beastie Boys.
Yeah, when we got here, it was just one TV. We thought it was going to be a little too quiet, and we'd have to speak in hushed tones or something. But now it's it's filled up a little bit more, and yeah, they're cranking out the good tunes.
All right, so I want to ask you something about something that happened in the news, in the scientific community, in the nerd science community.
Okay.
Supposedly, there are some astrophysicists who have been looking at this one star out in the fucking space, I guess.
So this is a physicist, not just some guy smoking pot?
No, not just some dude doing gravity bongs.
Go ahead.
So these scientists were looking at the star, and they can tell if there's a planet revolving around a star
Okay.
because of like when the star dims a little bit,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, I guess.
So
There-
recently they found this one star where there was this really irregular dimming, and it wasn't like uniform.
Okay.
And what the speculation is that they think it might be a massive alien structure, something that was built by
Right.
intelligent life,
Huh.
way out. And because like they were saying like life as we know it might exist around this star because there are planets like within that Goldilocks zone.
Sure, yeah.
But then people were criticizing this theory because they don't know why this irregular
Yeah.
pulsating is happening out there. And
Sure,
so
it's not
people
just
were
like a smudge.
right. Yeah, like some nerd forget to carry the one.
Yeah, exactly.
And then so the critics of the theory were saying that that star is about the same age as our star.
Okay.
And even if it did have like a very similar planet to our planet, wouldn't they would, in order to make this massive like space structure, they would
Yeah.
have to be so more technologically advanced than us. And if it's the same age as our planet, then how are they so far advanced from us?
Yeah, but are we talking it's the exact same age as our planet, or within several thousand years? Because several thousand years from now, we'll have all kinds of crazy technology.
Dude, they told me when I was a kid I'd have a jetpack. Okay,
Exactly.
where's my fucking jetpack?
Right.
But then other people were debunking that criticism by saying, well, maybe their intelligent life evolved much earlier than our intelligent life evolved, and then that way they would be so much more advanced than us. So because basically what they're saying is on this planet, if we didn't dick around with dinosaurs for 350 million years,
Right.
maybe we'd be more advanced like these people are.
If it wasn't for Catholicism, let's face it.
By the way, Dicking Around with Dinosaurs is this great band out of Brooklyn.
They're really good.
Speaking of dicking around with dinosaurs, I recently saw Jurassic World.
Oh, wasn't that awful?
Oh my god, it was so terrible. And I wasn't expecting Blade Runner or Citizen Kane, but because it is the biggest movie of the year and one of the highest grossing films of all time, I expected it to be at least mediocre. It was fucking terrible.
It really brought to mind to me the Dave Attell joke about opera, I think, where he just says, "Look how much money it takes, and to bore me."
Dude,
Because it's you just look at it and you're like, wow, somebody spent a lot of time on this, but nobody spent 5 minutes writing a decent script.
it was so cliche that I was watching it and thinking, good,
Fantastic.
yeah, thanks. Hey, we love the music you're playing. Yeah. Okay. The movie was so cliched that it made me think maybe these cliches haven't been in circulation in a while, and people don't realize how much bullshit they are.
Right.
Because fucking Chris Pratt, he's basically the Dino Whisperer.
Right.
And he's the guy plays by the seat of his pants, and then the female lead, which is what's her name, Dallas Byers Howard,
Right.
Clint Howard's niece. She's this ice queen career woman who doesn't have
Right.
time for love or her family.
See Sigourney Weaver in Avatar, or every female character in every action movie.
Oh, it's so awful.
Yeah, it was-
and
it was
I feel
bad.
I can't as bad as that was. I'm going to not go full negative on the movie report
Yeah.
because I saw 2 movies yesterday. I saw The
You
Martian.
want to save some room at
Oh,
the bottom?
I saw The Martian, and that was very good.
Okay.
But if
I don't know why I can't. That's one of those movies where I can't force myself to go see it.
Yeah.
It's so what does he do on Mars? Well, he just kind of hangs out. Okay, well,
hey, roast potatoes. Okay, great.
To tell you what, I'm going to hang out at my house then, and not watch this movie.
At a certain point, there was a little bit too much hokey humor in it.
Okay.
But for all in all, it.
Does he have
it
a Mars candy bar? And he's like, oh, Mars bar. I'm on Mars. Anybody?
Anybody? Yeah, you get any of this? Is this on? Oh wait, no, I'm stranded on Mars. Nothing's on. Yeah, like one of the big jokes is that like he's stranded on Mars and like all the other astronauts get off the astronauts get off the planet and he's stuck with everybody else's shit. And this one girl, this other like co-astronaut, she loved disco, so he all he had to listen to was disco, and he's just like, I hate disco. It's just like that's this recurring joke, and it's just like not that funny.
Wait, so that's all he has to listen to? I mean, like, so he wasn't allowed to bring his own music?
Yeah, exactly. You didn't bring. Like
you didn't bring a fucking playlist. Like you're going to Mars.
You're going to Mars, dude. Like you didn't bring any Neutral Milk Hotel.
You didn't charge up your Spotify before you left. You dumb shit.
Ooh, well, now I gotta listen to fucking the Weather Girls the whole time.
Exactly. It's like what if like one of the people you traveled with like only liked like Nazi rally marches, and you just have to listen to that for the rest of the time.
Hey, don't criticize my type of music. So I like that, but if anything, like I probably would have liked it more if I hadn't seen Sicario right before.
Okay.
Sicario, the movie about narco crime in Juarez.
Yeah.
Starring Emily Blunt and Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin. It is so good. It's like
nice.
Honestly, like I think it's one of the best movies I've seen in years.
Cool.
And like the music in it is incredible. The thing is, Andrew, it is so fucking gnarly and brutal. Like,
oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Seriously, like those. Well, this was my plan. On Friday, I got up early. Early is like 9 in the morning for me.
Right.
And so I went to the 11 a.m. show of Sicario. The first scene in Sicario will make you nauseous. So, like, I'm sitting in a theater, it's not even noon yet, and I want to fucking puke. Let me tell you something. If you haven't puked before noon, how are you spending your time?
Exactly.
Oh, my God. Like, those, seriously, like, and all this stuff is, like, maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, or maybe, like, less of an exaggeration of the evil shit these people do down on the borders.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like that. Well, there's still, like, aren't there still, like 100 college students or whatever like that were just, like, summarily like round up and like taken hostage, like because they attended a rally or something, like like yeah, it's really messed up. And
dude, Francesca, I forgot her last name's like Fiorentino, not Fiorentino, but it's close to that. This girl who is a personality for AJ Plus, like Al Jazeera Plus, they do like videos. Yeah. She went down to Mexico and did like a whole report on Mexican like narco crime,
right.
And they said in like in the last 8 years, 20,000 people have disappeared.
That's
like,
crazy. Yeah.
Just disappeared.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, like, I understand they all got murdered in some, but like, what do you do with 20,000 bodies?
God,
Wouldn't
no
you?
shit, yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
you eventually start to find some mass graves or something?
Right.
I'd
be very suspicious of Mexican food products. This Corona tastes like nosy reporter.
I was having this argument with somebody yesterday about it. Like I was saying, like, you know what? A lot of people in America like to think that like ISIS or Al Qaeda, those people are monsters, and like there's an argument for that. But like honestly, in my mind, the real monsters are these narco. Like people,
sure. I mean,
because the people who are like in ISIS or Al Qaeda, they're doing it for religious reasons.
Right.
So I think they're just like idiots.
Yeah.
Like their motivation, like they may think they're doing the right thing,
right?
But they're too stupid to know that what they're doing.
It's sort of like they're basically on the other end of the spectrum from like the dumb guy in a militia in like rural Michigan somewhere.
Right.
Like like they're both like religious extremists that like sort of like lost the plot on like where reality is. Yeah. But like these guys, it's just pure greed. It's just like it's like you said you were going to join like my competition, so I'm going to kill everyone in your whole family.
No, but they're going to like cut off heads of people in your family.
Right.
They're going
to
to
display them in the town square.
Yeah, and they're going to hang them from like an overpass. No. They're going to like submerge people in acid. They're going and like one of the things that they do is they it's called like a microwave where they put somebody like they stack tires up. They put somebody in the middle and they light the tires on fire.
Yeah.
It's like these are fucking like. And the thing is, like I said, like if you have religious motivation, like you're just kind of an idiot. These people are they're not motivated by anything. They're just fucking monsters.
Right.
And
they just want all the money.
And I think it's like the most underreported, like, I mean, with there was a TV show called The Bridge, which was about Juarez as well.
Right.
And I feel like
that kid just ate shit.
I feel like it's one of the most underreported stories, like what goes on.
Yeah,
and like those Mexican border towns.
Right. Well, and throughout, I mean, like you go like what is it? The city in Honduras that's like supposed to be the most violent city in the whole world now, like San Pedro de Sula, I think. Like, and it's
congratulations.
It's like, but it's like it's the second biggest city in Honduras, but like it's all it is just like narco crime, like the whole city. Like it's just I guess it's just barbaric and like it's
one of the characters in the movie was like talking about when the Medellin cartel like basically ran all the coke out of Colombia and basically all of Central America. It was organized, like they like it wasn't like the fucking chaos it is now. But now because there's no clear like leader, there's all these little factions like just like
it is weird to think that like for as much of an asshole as Pablo Escobar was, that like he probably saved thousands of lives by being such an asshole that like no one else could like
he
compete
probably
with
saved thousands of lives by only murdering hundreds of lives.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm pretty sure he's going straight to heaven. It's like, oh, you're better than Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa didn't do shit.
And you know what's great in this movie? I think Benicio del Toro should get an Oscar nomination. Although his character is so fucking, like when he's on screen, you just like your vision just like gravitates towards him because you're like, God. And like if you're watching like Narco or anything that has to do with like drug, like violence, like every time a scene starts, you're like, all right, who's gonna die?
Yeah, it's like watching Breaking Bad or something like that. It's like who's gonna accidentally shoot who?
It's like a scene in like Sicario where it's like a guy like waking up and he's got this like nice family, and I was like, okay, so clearly this guy's gonna die.
Right. Like,
let's just hope that they don't behead his kid and his wife. Have you seen any movies recently?
Actually, I saw something on on demand or whatever. And that was...
that's all the time we have today.
All right. That was a documentary called Drunk, Stoned, Brilliant, Dead. And it is about the National Lampoon and like the magazine,
the Poon, as they call it.
The comedy albums, like, the whole empire that it became. And I knew some of the story going in. I mean, like, it's just slightly before my time. Like, it's sort of like its big peak was in like the early 70s. I should point out that they do allow children in here, and that isn't.
Either they allow children here,
the old gruff but lovable Gus at the end of the bar screaming like a child.
Either they allow children here, or they allow very drunk sorority girls.
Right. They allow very smart dogs. But and I also offer that as a half-hearted apology too, because I'm sure over the last like 10 minutes I've screamed obscenities right next to children. But it's a very hard habit to break in a bar, or what I consider a bar.
Yeah, I don't even that doesn't even register with me anymore.
Exactly.
If I'm in a bar, I feel like I'm in my element, and if
right.
like a toddler sits next to me, she's gonna hear some fucks.
That's right. You know what? You knew the risks coming in, little girl.
What, that happened. Like somebody when I posted how much I hated Jurassic World on Facebook, somebody said, "Well, my 8-year-old loved it," and I was like, "Well, no offense, but your 8-year-old's an asshole."
Your 8-year-old has no concept of story structure.
So your 8-year-old will start watching some Kubrick films.
But anyway, going back to the National Lampoon, though, to Drunk, Stoned, Brilliant, Dead. Even though it was slightly, sort of slightly before my time, it was amazing because it sort of worked as this like origin story of like everything I've found funny in the last like 30 years. Because it's like, the tentacles like that it sort of started from National Lampoon like go everywhere. I mean, like it's
And
so,
didn't the National Lampoon start at the Harvard Lampoon?
Well, yeah, it's like I guess like so the Harvard Lampoon existed forever, and like then the Harvard Lampoon figured out that they could like lampoon like pop culture instead of just like that crazy math instructor or whatever. And like so like that sort of broke it all open, and then like a few guys went from that, I think, to start the National Lampoon. But yeah, it's like the National Lampoon sort of like begats or whatever, like Saturday Night Live and like Caddyshack and like SCTV and like you just see like all of these sort of like strings going through it through the whole movie where you're like, oh shit, that's the manager from Spinal Tap. He was like one of their best writers, and like, oh, that guy's in the background of like half of the shots in Caddyshack, and like he's the other like great writer, and like and then there's Michael O'Donoghue, and there's like John Belushi, and like and like everyone's just sort of like coming through, and then like everything breaks like all at once. So it's like Saturday Night Live goes in one direction, and the magazine and like the albums and like everything else like goes in a million different directions, and Caddyshack and all that. And like like fucking even like the SCTV guys just like come into it and then start like SCTV. So like the whole thing, and like Mike Rice and like Al Jean and Mike Rice like from The Simpsons like started there, and like so it's like there's all these like sort of things that people started out there that go on to like do everything that I enjoyed.
National Lampoon had one of my favorite like album covers, where it was the White Album.
Oh, okay, that is a good. It's like I think their most famous one is like the buy this like magazine or this dog gets shot or whatever. Like
oh
like,
yeah,
and like
wait, I
like,
thought that was Spy magazine.
No, I think they probably Spy probably.
Oh no,
Lampoon.
Yeah. No, there was a National
Double
Lampoon
Lampoon.
like comedy album called the White Album, and like
I remember
after
this.
the Beatles' White Album, but it was a photo of a bunch of KKK guys in a studio playing instruments.
That's great. That's fantastic.
You
But
can
I
never
highly
do it.
recommend that movie though. It's,
All right, so
I
go
enjoyed
see
it.
that. Go see Sicario. The Martian is good. Do not see Jurassic World.
Do not.
Do
not.
I think did I see any other movies? I don't think so.
What kind of television you're watching, or
Oh, I finished Narco.
Oh, you did. I haven't yet, but like
I had my bike stolen, so I had to cheer myself up by watching all this narco crime. Like,
don't tell me how it
television
turns out. I don't want to know. I assume Escobar becomes president of the world.
yeah, don't tell me how the movie Lincoln ends. All right, you want to take a break?
Yeah, we can do that. Why not?
Let's take a break, and maybe we'll come back with a Yelp review or two, and like wrap it up at Harmonic Brewing.
Harmonic.
All right, we're back. All right, and we are back at Harmonic Brewing in Dogpatch.
Sorry, Harmonic Brewery.
Andrew, there are a lot of very important subjects that have gone on last week.
I know. Like people are probably
Well,
getting really angry, being like, "Why aren't they talking about the only news that matters?"
let's put all those really important stories on hold and talk about the Star Wars trailer.
please.
What do you think of the new Star Wars trailer?
You know what? Very good trailer. I'll say that.
All right, fuck it. Like, nobody gives a shit about whether the Star Wars trailer is good or not.
Yeah, exactly.
The story here is that some people want to boycott Star Wars because they think it is anti-white because there's a black guy in it.
It's a black guy that wears a white outfit.
Jeez. And my favorite, and the front runner for hashtag of the year is hashtag white genocide. I love people who are afraid that this is going to somehow motivate a white genocide because their fear is basically based on, hey, we know how bad this can be because we used to do it to people. We can't.
So like, does that just like screw someone's like raising of their child up or something like that, where they're like, yeah, like I spent years telling my kids that like those are all white people inside there. But now you've ruined my horrible parenting.
Well, people were talking that like it's crazy, like they can't accept the fact that like the main character is a black dude who was a stormtrooper.
Right.
Who I think I don't really know what the narrative is, but it looks like it's going to be a Saul to Paul sort of narrative,
Okay,
where it's
sure,
like
yeah.
he was a stormtrooper and
Yeah,
then he kind of saw the light and now he's with the resistance.
Right.
But like they're like, this is crazy having a black guy as a stormtrooper. It's like, didn't you watch Attack of the Clones? They cloned a Maori.
Right.
So, like,
Well, and yeah, Samuel L. Jackson exists in this universe. We already knew that. So like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like I'm not sure what you were expecting.
Oh, I could totally accept this little Frank Oziota guy, but like a black dude, oh, jeez, that's just asking too much for me.
Well, like in today's sort of like multicultural society and everything like that, like what would that person's sort of like cutoff be? Like, can the person like be like a redhead, or like do they have to be like blonde and white to be a stormtrooper? Like, can they be like a like Brazilian, or is that too like dark?
Also, don't they say in like 200 or 300 years, like there'll be so much like interbreeding that like a lot of like the diversity that we all love and enjoy will be sort of thinned out, and like eventually everybody will look the same.
Yeah.
Because it'll everybody I guess everything will be like meshed together like a.
Well, once Obama perfects all the death camps and like kills all the people that aren't like us, we'll just take a shortcut.
All those people who are afraid that they're going to be rounded up and put in death camps deserve to be rounded up and put in death camps.
Ooh, the ultimate irony. If only I hadn't believed in the death camps, I wouldn't be in one.
There you go. Yeah, Star Wars looks great. Fuck it. Who cares?
No, but you know what? I mean, I have to say, like, I have to say, that movie is going to make more money than anyone's ever seen. I haven't even bought my online tickets yet. So, like, who knows? Maybe I won't even be allowed to see it for the first year or so.
Here's the thing: people will say, "Oh yeah, now there's online tickets, and people are waiting in line." Well, I guess people don't wait in line anymore because we have online tickets. But when the Phantom Menace came out,
right,
first movie in fucking decades.
Yeah, everybody lined up for it.
People were lining up in front of like the Coronet Theater, in front of all these theaters. I was walking past the AMC 1000, the second show of that. I just walked in. I was like, "Are there any tickets left?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, there's plenty of tickets left."
Okay.
So I was like, "Oh,
oh, you didn't hear? It stinks."
Everyone
walked out.
They've only had one showing. Yeah. Everybody knows it sucks.
George Lucas walked the theater.
I will say, like, when I saw that movie, Phantom Menace, it was at a sold-out show, as you might imagine.
Right.
And when the movie started and like the big word Star Wars came out, people were standing up and screaming.
Right.
Like these nerds.
And at the end, people were standing up and screaming,
They were
going,
like,
"This sucked!"
No, seriously. They were, and at the beginning they were just so excited, and then there was that scene where I think it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by the guy from the Taken movies.
That would be Liam Neeson, yes.
He asks,
"I have a very specific set of Jedi skills."
He asks Darth Vader's mother who the father was, and she just goes, "There was no father." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "No, he just came to me." And then, like, in that same theater where people were standing up and cheering, everybody was laughing at how bad it was. And these are hardcore fucking fans.
Right.
Like that's a massive swing.
Like, can you imagine like that movie probably did like really ruin some lives because because people were like, I spent like every day like for a year waiting in line for that movie, and like and this is what you give me.
Well, on Deadspin they have an article that said, okay, everybody's really excited for the new Star Wars movie. Let's just prepare ourselves for the worst. What if it's god-awful? And I think that's that's good clickbait, and it's a very funny article, but I don't think it can't be. It's done by J.J. Abrams, who's good.
Yeah.
And it can't be as bad as if, like, crazy George Lucas was at the helm.
Like worst case scenario, it's about as good as the Star Trek movies, probably.
Yeah.
And those are decent.
Yeah, those are totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I'm not going into it certainly thinking it's going to alter my life view or or anything like that. But so far so good. Like I like that. I think that the one thing I like about like just the look of it and everything like that is that it's. And maybe this is just where like special effects and CGI have gotten so advanced anyway. But like everything seems much darker and more realistic, like in a weird way. The thing that like old science fiction movies and fucking Batman going back years and years, like the thing that those movies are always missing is like junk and like trash and like old spaceships lying around and a battle occurred here, so now there's a bunch of crap on the like messing up this real estate and the idea of like just sprinkling that stuff around so that it all looks sort of like dark and like better than just like new ships flying around.
I like the casting in it, and I say that before I say I haven't seen them two main actors in anything. I give them like,
yeah.
I give
Yeah,
them
yeah.
mad like credit for just basically taking two people that nobody knows. Nobody has
Right.
any preconceived notions. It's
Yeah.
not fucking Johnny Depp trying to do like a space alien or something like that.
Not Natalie Portman.
It's not Natalie Portman.
Right.
It's like like the black dude in it. He was in Attack the Block, which I never saw, which I
Yeah.
heard was great.
It was great. It was really good.
And the girl, I have no idea. I've never seen her in anything.
None whatsoever.
Can you imagine being like that actor, one of those two actors, and being like nobody knows who I am, and my next movie is fucking Star Wars. Yeah, yeah, that happens.
And people were like, "Where did you get a dick from?" They're like, "Because you have to suck it." No, well, the funny thing about the most recent trailer too is that there's both actors that I didn't know that were in it that I saw, but then there's actors that I do know that are in it that I didn't see. So like those,
Yeah.
which is both good because it's kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, like I know Mark Hamill's in it, but they didn't show him at all.
Adam Driver's in it.
And Adam Driver's in it, right?
Yeah,
And, like,
I'm actually excited to see Adam Driver.
yeah, and then one of the actors that I saw in the trailer that I didn't know was in it was Oscar Isaac from what the hell's that? The Hero show on
The Heroes?
was in Yonkers. But the guy that was in
The Asian dude?
No, the guy that was in the Coen Brothers musical movie.
The dude who was in
Llewyn Davis. Inside Llewyn Davis.
Inside, yeah. Oh, he's in that.
Yeah, like they just showed him as like
Oh,
a
he's good.
snow speeder pilot or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck? That's the guy from Show Me a Hero. That's it.
Yeah, that's exciting because Show Me a Hero is a great
Yeah,
show.
and there's just all this like fucking great names in it. And,
All right, so we ate up so much time on Star Wars, nerding out on Star Wars that we don't have any Yelp reviews. Actually,
speaking of Star Wars, actually, I want to give
Oh.
a quick shout out to the Talking Bird Special Edition Star Wars podcast by Robert Zachary and John Llewellyn, I think. Not inside Llewyn Davis, but
Sure,
John
why not?
Llewellyn, whatever. But they did because it was like the trailer and like they released a new poster. They did like a 3.5 hour episode last week. So crazy
2.5
Todd Glass territory.
2.5 hours were about the trailer, and then another half hour about the poster.
Actually, they had it broken down, and there was a full half an hour, 45 minutes just on the music in the trailer. So it's
Wow.
I know. So if our in-depth report on the trailer wasn't enough for you, there's 3.5 hours more that you could listen to on that podcast.
So when the movie comes out, they'll do like a 2-day podcast.
yeah, I think it'll just be like a fast. Like they won't eat and they'll just be in suspended animation for a while.
So no Yelp reviews because
There's none that are bad for this
Yeah.
place anyway because it just opens. There's only 10 reviews to begin with, and they're all very positive.
brand new. We are breaking new ground here. Do you have any plugs, Andrew?
Let's see. I thought I did. Besides the Talking Bird podcast. Friend of the show, Chris Garcia, was on the podcast Put Your Hands Together, which is like a weekly show out of UCB, I think.
Okay.
And he was on that, and he was great. He told a quick story or whatever, and it was hilarious. And I think I wrote on Twitter that he's like a funnier, less dead Freddie Prinze.
He's going to be. Sorry, I try to just organize my thought, and then I realize that you're comparing him to a dead guy. He is going to be recording his comedy album at
sweet.
the Punchline in November.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I highly recommend that. I'll plug that then. Sure.
Yeah. I'll plug that when I know the actual date.
I wanted to
my
congratulate. I wanted to congratulate Moshe Kasher for landing Natasha Leggero and marrying her.
Oh, they got married?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So good for him.
Look at your land. Wait, yeah. Way to land it.
Well, if you look at some of their honeymoon pictures and stuff like that, he's not wearing a shirt, and you say to yourself, I'm not sure if Moshe Kasher is a human being, much less should be married to Natasha Leggero because he's a hairy person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is he one of those guys when you see him with his shirt off, you're like, oh, if somebody who doesn't believe in evolution saw him with his shirt off, you're like, oh, I guess we are descended from apes.
I'd be like, stupid Brooklyn hipster wearing a sweater to the beach. He's not.
And I wear my hair shirt.
He's doing a Robin Williams impersonation with his body hair.
My only plugs for this weekend are Cleveland, St. Louis over 42 points, Steelers plus 2.5. Falcons -6, Panthers -3, and parlay that with the Panthers-Eagles over 46.
Easy money, folks.
Easy money.
It's just sitting there on the table waiting for you to pick it up.
That's your prize. That's your gift for like staying through the entire episode.
My wife was actually in Las Vegas last. My wife was in Las Vegas last weekend for a business thing, and I had a brief thought on like Monday afternoon, I think, of like making her put money on Monday Night Football that night.
Who would you have put money on?
You know what? Like at the time, I was like, there's everyone like is throwing money at like the Patriots, like because they think they're just gonna blow them out, and like it moved the line like 4 points or something. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna take
you take the points.
I'm gonna take like 11 points. And like, but like I said, I thought about calling my wife and be like, find a sports book, but like. She probably would be like, wrong number, screw you. And like, B, I just like, chickened out at the last minute. But yeah, so I could have won money, but I didn't. I probably would have also taken the under just to be a dick, and I probably would have lost that. So yeah, I'm sure I would have lost somehow.
The big money, supposedly the hot bet this week is taking the points with the Jets at the Patriots. Because people think the Jets are an underrated team. And they're playing but they're playing in Foxborough, so
yeah.
I wouldn't do it. I think it's like it may be like 8 points, 7 or 8 points.
Yeah, I mean at this point, like I feel like the Patriots will either like cover every single spread for the rest of the season, but
they
then
didn't against the fucking
I know
Colts.
or we'll just like come extremely close like every single time and like go right right or left of the where they separated or whatever.
Wide right.
Exactly.
Andrew, what is your final analysis, Phil Giuano, of Harmonic Brewing, the tap room?
I think it's certainly a welcome addition to this neighborhood, which previously and even currently has very little in it. But it's kind of a cool little hidden gem out of the way.
It's definitely a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're got this very scenic view unless you like to look at trash on the street.
There's not going to be a lot of drop-in traffic to this place, I would think, unless it's just people like collecting pallets or something.
But I'll say this much: like the beer that we had, minus the fucking sour, was good.
Yeah, you know what?
And
particularly, I thought the ESB and the stout, the cold pressed stout, were both very tasty, very nice.
And that's their bread and butter,
Exactly.
Basically, they probably don't give a shit about whether we like the decor of the tap room.
Yeah.
But the beer is really good, and I think that's their wheelhouse.
Exactly. And you know what? The decor is simple.
Yeah, it's very simple, very very industrial.
Yeah, no nonsense. Like they're not gonna
dick you around.
Yeah, they're gonna wave flowers in your face or.
One of the things I'll say is that at Harmonic Brewing they have Wi-Fi
Oh,
open to the public.
Right, you don't have to screw around with it.
And if you go to the Speakeasy Brewery, there's no Wi-Fi.
So we'll leave it at that.
There's no Wi-Fi over there, but there is a bunch of wacky shit to make it seem like you're in a fucking speakeasy.
Right, I thought the space in speakeasy. I mean, like you said, it's sort of bad form to sit in one bar and talk shit about another bar, but we will. The speakeasy it seemed like they sort of went they went out of their way to make it a not entirely comfortable space, but it's supposed to be part of the motif, right? So it's well, no, I'd rather just be in a comfortable bar with regular booths and tables rather than these goofy rooms where I'm supposed to pretend I'm John Dillinger or something.
It's the size of a fucking walk-in closet, but
right.
There's a doorman checking IDs.
Yeah, exactly.
So enough of that shit.
So if you're in the southeastern San Francisco area and
good luck,
and you're looking for a brewery that has a small tap room next to it, I say skip Speakeasy and go to Harmonic.
Yeah, go to Harmonic. I would do after being to both of them. I would. The other thing at Harmonic, they don't cater to jackasses. They don't have a bunch of cornhole games out front.
Suffer idiots. Yeah, that was another thing too. Is they're some of the worst people I've ever seen out front playing cornhole.
Cornhole, the most boring game of all time.
It's like for people that that want like a cheap version of croquet or something like that, where it's like, look at me, look at how casual Friday I am playing
It's like
cornhole.
horseshoes, but not as exciting. Jesus Christ.
Like, ow, ow! I hit my head with the horseshoe.
All right. So this is SFBarkast signing off from Harmonic Brewing Tap Room. I'm Jeff Cleary.
I'm Andrew Louder.
We'll see you next time.